I may be stupid, but I'm not dumb.
I may be stupid, but I'm not dumb. That's gonna be someone's fucking campaign slogan.
I guess the guy running against Takeshi 6ix9ine.
He'd have to be 420, right? That's the person Takeshi 6ix9ine runs against.
It would
right?
have to be what, like Kaneda 420.
Kaneda 420, just underneath a sign that says "Stop snitching" emboldened on a fucking American flag.
I legit do not know which one of them is running on the GOP ticket in this particular race, in this hypothetical race.
Okay, I'm looking at these characters we've constructed here.
Well, one of them is just 6ix9ine.
One of them is just 6ix9ine.
It's just 6ix9ine running for office.
And the other, I guess, is a more conventional rapper on the Stop Snitching platform. Because then I think that might actually be the GOP person. 6ix9ine's whole thing has a sort of weaselly Clinton primary kind of flavor to it.
In my head, this 420 guy, Kaneda 420, he's more like a mirror image palette swap.
Alright, I'm enjoying this polygon fighting team thing happening here.
It's like he's a like a Luigi, or Dark Link, something like that.
Dark Link, Dark Samus.
Dark Samus.
Ink Mario from Sunshine. Man, Nintendo really takes the quick route on that one, huh?
It's, we're gonna call it a beloved trope of theirs.
Well, I guess sometimes shortcuts get you where you're going more quickly.
I mean, they remain as beloved as ever. I was just playing Pokemon Snap last night. It's the most fun.
Is there a dark photographer?
I guess that's you compared to Todd Snap. He's in that, by the way. He's a side character.
Wait, that's you? You're a malign photographer? Are you selling your Poke Pics to Poke TMZ?
I'm a line photographer. You're just, you're there.
Alright, I get the feeling that you're taking Poke Pics of Jennifer Hudson on the beach now.
No, but there is a Machamp on the beach. He, kind of just flexes at himself.
Ah, I see. Just the actor that plays Aquaman then, Jason Momoa. Man, that would have been funnier if I could remember names. I didn't have the creeping aphasia of age.
I think out of all the people on this planet, the one... No, it's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar looks the most like Machamp.
Yeah!
Or Bobby Lashley. Both of them look equally like Machamp.
I'm actually gonna give this one to Lashley. He's just the most toyetic person on the
just
planet.
Imagine Bobby Lashley with 2 more arms, and you're basically already there.
Alright. I'm gonna offer some free creative advice
Sure.
to defend, because you're already in the fuck it zone.
Yeah.
You've already fired everyone of significance for talent, so...
I think Road Dogg's gone now, too.
And Road Dogg. So...
And William Regal.
Oh. I'm just angry.
He's drinking pissed with the Angels now.
Here's a pitch. You guys are already fucking around with 3D technology. It doesn't look great, but you're still doing it. So, as long as you're there, just copy and paste 2 more arms onto Lashley. Just just try it. See how it works.
I want my Machampion.
And yes, it'll give the live crowds nothing. But you already give the live crowds nothing.
Okay, so speaking of fights that someone wrote, we gotta segue somehow.
And wrote. Alright, just for our context, because you can usually jump into Weeaboo Hell context-free, we are on a journey.
This is episode 2 of the Uzumakiad.
You are so in love with that name, and that positive energy really boosts me. The Uzumakiad, which is a complete reread, not rewatch, which is why this is not just complaining about filler.
Yeah, I don't fucking have it in me.
But a complete reread of the original Naruto series.
We are doing 10 episodes, 70 chapters each. I think it might be 702 chapters, so the final episode is going to be, plus a couple of chapters. I hope you can do that.
I hope that violation of the rules doesn't, throw all of you into a deep and blackened rage.
Anyway, This is episode 2, so that's going to be chapters 71 through 140. When we last left off, we were in the middle of the Chunin exam arc.
We specifically left off at the start of Sakura versus Ino, the fight this comic has been building to this whole time.
Yes, that one.
Do you have any lingering thoughts about Sakura versus Ino?
I already touched on it in the last episode, but this fight is way better in the manga than it was in the anime. The anime did not adapt this fight well in the slightest. The whole thing made it look like Sakura had been a bullying victim of Ino's for many years now after they were once friends, when in reality, they are still friends. They were friends. They are friends. They are now also rivals. They still respect one another. They're kind of like, they're playfully taunting one another throughout the match, and I think that it's understood in the manga that these are playful taunts, but then once all of these things became voice acted in the anime, it seemed way more acrimonious.
I've got to say, while I was detached from the emotional stakes of this by whatever, emotional disorder I have.
Well, I'm trying to play the game, you know?
I know, but I found it much improved from its animated equivalent based on my lingering memory. Mostly on a character front, which matters when you're talking and flashing back to your ninja childhoods. But I'm going to save that rant for a later fight, actually, because it annoyed me elsewhere.
Which ninja childhood flashback? Because I'm pretty sure every fight of some significance in this goddamn thing includes a ninja childhood flashback. Oh my fucking god, Denard.
Okay, I guess we're doing this now. This was actually an odd one because it had this whole thing about how you have to try extra hard when you're a kunoichi because there are all these other
there's like a glass ceiling
and things. More like they said that there's like this whole other axis to learn because you have to learn to.
Oh yeah, like the feminine arts.
Yeah, to blend in there, and it's a weird speech. It's not the same type of weird speech as the torture weird speech, but it's a weird speech because the conclusion makes sense, like, the idea that it's hard to be a female ninja, but the logic tree it goes through there has me said, like, wait, what?
No, there's like a lot of stuff in this particular manga that goes on a weird journey to get to what should have been a simple conclusion, I guess, yeah.
A bit of spaceman logic there that I'm
looking at a certain panel on your phone right now.
Okay, alright. So, as you can tell, Sakura versus Ino is not the most important thing in comics history to me. I want to talk about my favorite panel in Naruto. There might be a better one later.
I don't know. I don't think so.
But right now, my favorite panel in Naruto. There is a fight between two characters. We're new to both of them, basically, in the grand scheme of things.
Fairly new to both of these characters. We've met both of them before, but only briefly.
One of them is a young blonde named Tamari. She carries on a giant fan. It's a quilting giant fan.
It's kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of a fun little gimmick of hers.
And the other girl is like a girl named Tenten. She has like a weapon master gimmick, and she's in this martial arts squad. So you're kind of thinking, okay, the martial arts squad guys are kind of getting this push. Let's see what her I have never seen a blowout in fucking.
It's a squash!
It stands out even more because Naruto is the drag out the fight manga.
Yes, and this happens entirely off screen.
I'm not even making fun of it when I just say I enjoy this fucking image of this
it's
blowout.
It's beautiful. It truly is.
It's just, one of them is just sort of leaned up against her silly fan, and the other one is just slumped over it like a fucking dead deer.
She's symbolically impaled upon the fan. Like, look at her.
And
look at her. That is the pose that someone who is impaled on a giant steak makes. That is what it's meant to suggest. Is that she has been impaled upon this fucking fan.
It's a real 7-1 Germany Brazil kind of moment. Just little extra bits of context is this happened off panel. The floor around them is just covered in her weapon master little gimmick things, like just covered in little traditional ninja weapons.
All the shit that didn't work just now.
All shit that didn't work, like just like so many tendies spilled gently upon a basement floor.
I can't remember if this fight ever got expanded upon in the anime.
I hope they fucking didn't. I would be so ashamed of that.
I think my guess is that they did because, again, they needed to stretch the material as much as possible. And, the anime, again, just not the greatest adaptation of all time, did the thing where, the last 3 minutes become the first 3 minutes, and, if they could expand people talking for any amount of time, then they would.
A character was talking and thinking and expositing about something else, like, ooh, the next fight should be starting.
And then while they were talking and thinking and expositing, that fight already came and went. Honest to God, I wish there was more shit in the manga like this. There's one that I've read up to so far. There's one other instance almost entirely like this.
And I'm going to give
But it's even after the time skip. We'll talk about it way later.
Because I like kicking his shin so much, I'm going to give the author full credit on this one. Because he also basically just goes through all the other fucking fights in this tournament, so it's not so much a skip button.
Some of them are longer than others. This...
Try to say something there, Sammy boy. Yeah, is there a thought lingering on the corner of your consciousness?
It's like he was in on the joke with 1010. And the joke didn't even exist yet. So how could he be in on a joke that did not yet exist?
The two things that make me think he saw into the future of the joke of the swing getting more time than her is the swing making a Sand Village cameo.
Oh yeah, it does.
It does. Gaara's getting bullied on a swing.
Ooh.
Like bullying Ted Bundy when he's already Ted Bundy. I don't know what their fucking plan was.
Speaking of Gaara, he's the next big fight in this block of 70 chapters, right?
Let's see. It's not a big fight, but there's a Shikamaru, your boy, versus
my fucking boy. Yeah. So I think my boy and my other boy, Shino, who I checked in the, not counting, the filler arcs of the anime, just, what is shown in the manga, completely, he's got 0 L's. Bug boy. Put your money on him, guys.
Good for you. I think
Shikamaru, I think he actually has a little bit more page time, so he is allowed to lose every now and again, but he always looks really fucking good doing it, and he doesn't lose this fight.
So yeah, they start him off against Sound Girl, for whom the life of me I could not remember what her power. Wait, no, I remember she had
bells,
needles with bells on them, and I think the bells did something bad with chakra. And
it beats the fuck out of me.
You're really worried about it. But that fight has a fun finish where he has to sort of stretch the creativity of his little...
Which is his power. Thing.
And he gets to show himself off as a schmott guy, so to speak.
He's kind of versed.
Oh yeah, no, Shikamaru, he's the best.
Morgan of Vamp Stamps in New York, for your weeaboo tattooing needs, has just entered with the observation that throughout the run of this, Shikamaru is kind of based.
At one point, he has someone on the ropes and declares that he is their god now.
Great.
Right? What a fucking...
By the way, this is sort of getting at a later idea of mine, but there's kind of a weird duality in Naruto going forward, in my opinion, at times, which is the stuff that is kind of less important just sort of tends to come off better in this.
No, I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. I think
about how he ends up handling a lot of the Sasuke stuff, right? And I almost wonder if the degree to which it is dialed up to 11 emotionally constantly is just due to how much in the back of the creator's mind is thinking, I have to make this element work. They have to understand this. This has to be cool. But that might be me trying to overanalyze the whole thing.
No, it's a good point, because it is a good point. I think the stuff that is front and center often feels like he's trying so very hard to make it work, and often trying too hard to make it work. I'm definitely with you there.
And it's just kind of me getting ahead of myself, but just to forecast my opinions, I think it's my whole problem of the entire pain sequence of this comic.
We'll get there, I guess.
Okay.
I know the pain sequence only by reputation.
Fair enough.
But here's a conversation that we could potentially have about this whole fucking thing. The tournament arc. Right?
The tournament arc.
One of the most talked about fucking plot structures in anime.
Mm-hmm.
So how's this one compared to... What other, big tournament arcs are there?
other big tournament arcs, I mean, there's the eternal classic, like, Tenkaichi Budokai, whatever thing that Dragon Ball is up to in its sort of early runs and
Earlier
later runs.
on, there's the Black Tournament from Yu Yu Hakusho, a classic, as always. This is 10%.
The Black Tournament, you had the whole sports day thing in Hiroaka. You had Negima's endless hell pit.
I don't know what Ken Akamatsu's destiny is, what he is meant to do in this life, but I don't think it was Negima.
It's a good question. I don't even know if it's happened yet. It's a great question. Let's see, Baki engages very heavily with the whole, basically 2 long drawn-out tournaments that are sort of considered 2 of its best runners by people.
The entire second half of G Gundam is a tournament arc.
That is very true. God, I feel like I'm forgetting something hyper-relevant, but at least that gives us a good sampling here.
Sure.
Alright, so looking at those, how does this stack up? I guess maybe I should look at the elements before I grade the whole thing, or should I just give my overall impression here?
Is it generally understood that Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of the gold standard here?
At least out of our pool.
Yeah, like out of the ones
some
that we
people love. I think maybe for like a sort of bouncier, more vibrant adventure, maybe you'll enjoy the Dragon Ball one more, depending on who you are. But Yu Yu Hakusho, like for our generation's kind of standards and tastes.
Sure, yeah, and I definitely wouldn't hold it against someone for enjoying the Dragon Ball one more. Certainly, I don't think that Dragon Ball, back before the Z got added to it, strained one's patience as much.
I did not have my basket of gripes. That's a YouTube joke there. He talks about Dragon Ball, whatever. But yeah, the Yu Yu Hakusho one, in terms of growth within the tournament structure, using the one-off fights to a fun extent, the setup around things being amusing, having the little side plot outside of the tournament, which every tournament thing basically does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was
I'm a sketchy dude fucking around in the background.
Well, yeah, and there was like the Shoto subplot that was happening in the Hiroaka tournament arc.
Yeah, which, by the way, is an interesting distinction in Baki, because he does not give a shit about things that are not this tournament. It's like, oh yeah, politics, I don't give a fuck. What? I don't know, they're in Japan, some of these people are from America or Russia, I guess. Okay, look, we got some punching to talk about. Baki's a whole other universe of standards.
It's just another thing entirely, yeah. Where are the deficiencies and where does it excel? I think the deficiencies, if I may.
Okay.
It does a whole lot of work in the moment through flashbacks to get you to care about the participants, which kind of speaks to how he had this arc take place a little bit too early. Now, here's the thing. We are at the point in the manga, in the story's run, when this is the perfect time for something as with stakes as comparatively low as the Chunin exam arc. However, on the other side of that coin is the fact that many of these characters, we're really getting to know them only through their appearances in these fights. So we cannot have really known them long enough to care about them yet.
So this is that thing again where we have kind of reached a similar conclusion of different logic trains. I would disagree with the roots here. I'm not sure about this stuff taking place too early, because we are 70 pages of 70 chapters of content in. That represents somewhere over 140 pages. Like, if there are these chapters are at least 20 pages.
20 pages? Oh, more than that.
Yeah. That's a lot of narrative time. And honestly, these people are into...
I know you said narrative time, but you didn't quite pronounce the V, so it became narrative time.
That's a problem. And these people are into talking about what they are about enough that you kind of could have gotten most of people's thing through here. I think that, and I said this last time, but the combination of declaring what you're about at length, being discussed at length outside of the fight, and flashing back in the middle of the fight, just draws out every beat of everything. You know what? I'm talking about this trait of this as a tournament. I'm going to go to Well Remembered. My favorite choreography in this tournament. Not actually my favorite fight, because I am sort of almost bleeding from the odds of the amount of thing I'm talking about happening, but the Rock Lee versus Gaara thing. Mm-hmm. It has the opportunity. It has the spots. it has even the psychology and just the structure of the match to be so potentially cool.
Yeah.
And no one will shut up. No one will shut their fucking mouth. They won't even shut up mentally. They have to. And I'm just like, please, let me enjoy this moment. You started. The second they did the thing. It's almost an anime cliche, because I'm pretty sure Dragon Ball does some version of the fucking weight training thing, throw them off, the fucking stuff splits. But he just draws it and paces it out in such a fun way, and it characterizes the guy as like this fucking super underdog, tossing off the weights and splits something, and it's just, I am totally with you in that moment.
Yeah, no, that sequence there works so well.
And I don't know why you would do that and then have 3 pages of, oh, you know, when he threw off those weights, he actually works really hard by walking around with those weights on all the time. And the reason that he's normally slower than he is now is because, you see, he has these weights, and weights are heavy. Heaviness is a ninja technique invented by Ulysses Weight in the 1830s.
There's this moment that happens where he takes off the weights, he drops the weights. So somewhat like Kakashi's like, oh, he's been wearing training weights. Yeah, okay, so he's taking them off. That commentary, sure, yeah, fine, whatever. When he drops the weights, they make this big boom when they hit the ground so that you, the audience, get this indication that, oh, these were extremely fucking heavy weights. They both, like, when he dropped them, they kicked up this giant fucking cloud of dust. And then they told us, wow, those were some really heavy weights. Shut up, please.
And that scene taught me why these 10 episodes exist. They taught me why there's no divisive fucking manga, anime, whatever thing in a while. Because it has both that scene where he drops the weights and the explanation afterwards. And that just meant there would be 2 camps of people arguing forever.
That's the thing. There's this edited down version of Naruto, which ends up being probably about 100 chapters shorter. There's an edited down version of Naruto, 100 chapters shorter, which is the coolest fucking manga that's, you know, maybe not the coolest, but like one of the cooler mangas that's ever been written. And it's the version of Naruto that just doesn't have all of the fucking talking in the middle of fights.
I almost want... Can we make Gendy Tartakovsky do the next adaptation?
Yeah, for fucking real.
It would be a fascinating switch. Before I go back to the Lee Gaara fight, just because that one was interesting, maybe we'll come back to it, but I'm looking through my notes / several pictures here, because I just took some highlight pages for myself because we read the manga here.
Okay, sure.
And one of the best examples of the chattery in the middle of this tournament that is driving me to distraction and exists to some extent in a lot of these tournaments we talk about. It's all over some of the Hiroaka Yu Yu Hakusho stuff. Mm-hmm. But the extent here is, there is a moment, and it's in the Naruto Kiba fight. Okay. Now, the thing that's significant about this one is it is basically supposed to be a small, like, just story of Naruto growing mentally, right? Like, he's getting smarter is the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's using ninja tricks. He can do more ninja tricks, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those puzzle box fights that he likes that, again, for better or worse, it basically turns these fights into sort of an IQ contest, which is way better than a power level off, so I mean,
he's got that on Bleach.
This is true. And there's one moment where he does a simple, clever thing. So the guy he's fighting can basically turn his dog into him to fight as a doubles team, right?
Sure.
And the whole crux of the story is Naruto used to suck at turning into a copy of a person.
Yeah.
And he turns into a copy of the guy, so the other two don't know who to attack. Super simple, smart stuff, shows his growth. Then, there's the point when building's hard. You probably could even see my phone, so you probably even know where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. Then they have Sakura explain it, which is bad enough, with a fucking diagram. I shit you not. There is a diagram here. I might make this the picture for the episode. No, it might. No, the Tentenode thing, but there is a diagram. Actually, there are 2 diagrams of his trick.
It takes up half a page.
And they're labeled like Naruto as Kiba, Kiba as dog, dog as Kiba. I know
you're
this
proud
is 14.
of this.
I know you're proud of this.
I know you're proud of like having come up with this fun little twist in the fight. I know it probably took a good 15 or 20 minutes or so for you to do so. I'm proud of you. That was cool. Why are you making it not cool? Why are you making this lame for me? Why are you making it hard for me like this? Stop making it so fucking difficult for me like this.
And I know that this might seem kind of prescriptive in terms of how you lay out fights. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It annoys the piss out of me. But here's where it becomes a problem. And it's maybe where we'll just start getting to the later fights here. It's because it's what he also does with ideas. Ideas and character beats also get this treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And that really hurts my experience of it. Because I should say, by the way, for the overall, block by block chapter, this whole Chunin exam thing, to my memory, along with one or two fights and the whole Sasuke rescue thing, I'm pretty sure this is remembered as just one of the stronger sequences in the whole.
The Chunin exam, yeah, I would say, the Land of Waves arc, most of the stuff before the time skip tends to be very well remembered. If there is a weak spot, it is an arc that we have yet to cover so far, of all the arcs that happened pre-time skip, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's an arc that has yet to be covered, so I won't really mention it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, this is the one that everyone loves.
And I guess you just start to see, you are on that whole franchise original sin trope kind of thing, and I kind of get it.
Yeah, just stuff that has always been there, it would seem.
So when I say they do it with character beats too, let's go back to the whole Gaara Lee fight, right?
Yeah.
Lee's zipping around. Everyone says, man, he worked really hard to get this strong. Look at those weights. Then we flash back. He's working hard on his taijutsu, whatever thing.
And man, look at those weights.
And then look at those weights. And then there is his mentor, coming in to admire him, you are a genius of hard work. And you know what? That's not even a bad panel. I'm okay, yeah, a genius of hard work. Head against the tree, eyes open, sort of tearing up. Cut here. Then we go to his reaction to, damn, am I really a genius of hard work? Because I've been working really hard. And I'm like, oh my god.
Are they paid by the page? Because, if they're paid by the page, they're paid by the chapter.
I don't know if it's so much paid by the page as much as just the eternal darkness of the Shonen Jump deadline.
Because that's the thing. It stops being fun. When you acknowledge where all of these cliches come from and why all of them exist, then it stops being fun. Because it's no longer the author's fault.
That's true. Yeah, it's not quite as fun to kick at this thing. Shackle said, yeah, you just have to draw 25 pages in 7 days. And hey, have you ever tried that, dear reader? Because the blood will be leaking from your eyes. Oh, you have 2 assistants. Good. The blood will only leak from one eye.
Or it will leak it from one of each of your eyes. A little bit. Not if it was just 2 eyes. If it was just one set of eyes, oh man, would there be some fucking ocular leakage.
But if you leak enough blood, you unlock your stronger eye technique.
Oh my god.
The Gaara Lee fight. I'm kind of interested in Gaara in this. Not as a character, but as a construct, because he is, as we established in the last episode, the edgiest boy in the world.
There's a hard it's hard for me to find an edgier boy than our boy Gaara. Maybe does he have any competition in Bleach? Kenpachi's pretty fucking edgy.
Bleach's edge doesn't necessarily feel the need to extend it into every life experience the character has ever had. Often because he hasn't thought through every life experience the character has ever had.
True enough.
Except with, what the fuck is the name of the hard guy? Okiura?
Yeah.
It's there. But, Gaara, aka, Naruto's Shadow the Hedgehog, by intent.
There's an interesting thing storytelling wise that they did with Gaara, which I kind of liked.
Mm-hmm.
But which is they kind of really they build up this fight that's gonna happen between Gaara and Sasuke.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think within these 70 chapters, because these 70 chapters do also include the entire invasion arc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they build up this fight that needs to happen, that's going to happen between Sasuke and Gaara. They get about halfway through this fight before the fight is interrupted because, it's on now, motherfuckers. they go back to this fight again. All you're hearing is that it's gonna be like you and me at WrestleMania, and then towards the end of the invasion arc, beats him real fucking easy. Beats Sasuke real goddamn easy, and here comes fucking Chris Benoit. And because this has really been about him versus Naruto this whole time. And on a storytelling level, I kind of like that. I kind of like how he didn't even consider that, his actual biggest threat right here. Like, the guy who was actually always meant to fight was Naruto.
We're at the stage of the comic here where the superstructure is basically still intact. Because the long-term story here is basically they kept repeating the beat of Naruto wants to be the big hero, fucks up the save, be the big hero, fuck up the save, be the hero, fuck the save. And this was the arc where he finally got to, be the guy.
Like, be the guy. And, go over clean, even.
Go over clean, save Genius Boy.
Like, I will count
Good.
Naruto's fight with Gaara towards the end of these 70 chapters as one of my favorite fights in the series. Like, he just does it clean.
He does it clean. It might slightly benefit from the fact that the Toad's powers are as simple as stabbing things with its large sword.
He jump, he toad. He jump, he toad, he have sword. We gotta talk about Neji here. We've got to talk about
Neji, and for what I've been making fun of Gaara for, this might surprise you. On the sort of edge nihilism spectrum, aside from his stupid flashback and backstory, Neji's kind of the closest without going over. He kind of has the best heel work in this arc that isn't just breaching, crow monologues.
I would actually call him the best bad guy of this arc. Right, of the Chunin exam arc.
Yeah.
And then, we end up with a couple more bad guys. I mean, I guess Gaara is a bad guy in this arc, and he ends up being the final bad guy in the invasion arc / Snake Boy is also there. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, all the Snake Boy stuff.
But I would say, of this arc, yes, Neji is the best villain.
It's paced out in an interesting way. I think one thing that benefited him immensely and maybe just spared him a little exposition, though not much, was just having the whole Hinata with the sort of same power-based fight before it. Other than, the obvious emotional beats, ha 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 ha, slap girl around, slap girl around, slap girl around, look at what a dick I am. I think just positioning him against someone with the literal same power set actually just lends credibility to the sort of usual genius wank.
Yes, it also helps that his whole thesis, right, is the most directly in opposite to Naruto and what he believes and where he's coming from.
Not only most directly opposite, but I want to say, for my money, the least arbitrary feeling. When I say arbitrary, I need to be very specific with the language or meaning here.
Are we talking about...
We're talking about Gaara again.
Oh, we could also be talking about Sasuke, too.
Okay, Sasuke is a borderline, he had a stroke and has a different personality now situation.
It does feel like that sometimes, yeah.
Gaara at least had a straight personality, but I've been reading The Count of Monte Cristo. It's one of the most famous revenge stories.
The fucking research that you do for this.
Right? Because it's one of the most famous revenge stories in literary history. And one of the interesting things about Count of Monte Cristo is for the opening conspiracy, a lot of stuff has to fall into place, sort of in a specific way. And the book survives the line, but it's kind of close, and you almost feel the hand of the universe and this guy getting screwed over so he can take his revenge later.
Sure.
And I have a small kind of rule now for revenge stories and backstories.
Mm-hmm.
If it takes more cosmic spite or coincidences than the first 100 pages of The Count of Monte Cristo, then you've got a fucking problem. What I'm trying to say here is that, and I'm sure for some of you it's the saddest piece of literature you've ever read, when Gaara's aunt also tries to murder him, I kind of started to laugh my dick off.
That's his uncle.
Oh, no. His mother's sister was his, caretaker.
No, that...
And then his uncle... What?
That's his... It's just very effeminate.
Oh. Goddamn. Okay. So when his uncle Mia Culpa.
I learned this. Like, no. I thought it was. I thought he was too, and then I happened to just like come by a character list at one point.
What his uncle just takes the hit job too. It would be like if in The Count of Monte Cristo, his bygone beloved Mercedes just pulled a hand crossbow out from under her dress and also just shot him in both kneecaps.
No, you know what it is? It's a fucking Doofenshmirtz backstory. Like, Gaara's uncle trying to kill him is a fucking Heinz Doofenshmirtz backstory that he relays to Perry the Platypus. It is that hyperbolically cruel.
Okay, but we were trying to focus on the Neji thing.
Sure, yeah.
His backstory has a stupid retcon, but as originally told, at least, I don't know. Actually, I don't even care so much about Neji's backstory. I just think his delivery of his thesis stuff is done in a fun way.
Like, the backstory is almost ancillary to just how much he fucking believes the things that he is saying when he is saying them to Hinata and then Naruto.
Yeah. Also, it's just, ultimately, it's a merger of, visuals, and I kind of just like the specific, like, empty-eyed scowl that he draws on Neji's weird eye thing.
Yeah. I remember Neji has a swastika on his forehead. Mm-hmm. Now, it is the Buddhist version of the swastika. I remember he definitely did not have that in the US version of the anime.
I don't know what they did. I don't know if it was like an orange in the new black box or something.
I think they just kind of airbrushed it out.
I think they put a different symbol there because
it's important
symbol. Because it's their super doom death seal brain destroying thing.
Fucking Nazis, man. They ruined swastikas.
It's true. It's funny to say out loud.
Among other things. There was other stuff that they did.
I guess his sort of bit at least gets to evolve between the two rounds of the tournament too.
Yes. It feels the most like there is a coherent conversation going on with his fight with Naruto. Out of all the fights that we saw in the last 70 chapters and these 70 chapters, it feels the most like, here is thesis, here is antithesis, Lord.
And I guess it's just that line of credibility between, like, we have this social structure, some people excel, some people are stuck, live with it.
And like,
versus, I need to kill people to feel alive. Which, you sort of can easily reject on its face because what you're saying is, I need to kill squirrels to come, which isn't a philosophical argument.
Like, maybe you do. You're still a fucking weird psychopath. And so, because I need to kill people to feel alive just has absolutely nothing to do with anything that Naruto is about. It has nothing to do with anything that Rock Lee is about, right? Mm. When Gaara is in combat and in conversation with both of these characters, it doesn't really mean anything that he believes these things because, again, it just...
Like, just lay it out on paper. I can overcome my weaknesses by working hard versus I need to kill squirrels to come. There's not really an adversarial, like, it could both be true that you need to kill squirrels to come and he needs to train to get strong.
It's like, they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
So, I don't really...
I'm sorry.
I don't really understand. We said it last episode. He's so fucking cool until he opens his fucking mouth.
Yeah, the Gaara bit is troubled in that way. Alright, so we say Neji's heel thing works here. Divided topic. What do you think of Hinata's mini underdog arc there? It almost works for me.
There's something that I've been needing to get off my fucking chest for a while now.
Do it.
Hinata looks like she always looks like she's about to ask if you want to watch her pee. And like, I don't know what to do about this. It's deeply uncomfortable for me. Because I don't, in fact, want to watch her do anything.
Oh god, now I'm just seeing that like fingers pushed together expression in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a really fucking hard sell, and she knows it.
Sorry to bother you, but how would you feel? Hey, so we've been going out for a little while.
No, they haven't. They haven't. That's what makes it so hard of a sell.
Do you remember that video I sent you ironically? I wasn't being ironic. Would you be cool with watching me feel?
And maybe this is entirely a me problem. Maybe this is my own shit right here that I'm projecting onto this character.
What you're saying is a very funny version of she is hyper obsequious, and it's supposed to be a character trait, but it's taken to the point it's annoying.
I hadn't thought about it that hard.
Okay, well, from the outside looking in of, she looked like she's about to ask you what on her feet. There's a thing where she lacks confidence and is cloying, which is a story you could tell, but this rendition is a little oopsified.
They lay it pretty thick, yeah. Oh, but her fight with Neji's good, though. Yeah. I like it. I think it's a good fight.
Here's a weird backhanded compliment, because that's my relationship with Naruto, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Her starter point as a character is so fucking annoying. Her saying, I don't want to be like that person. I'm almost there doing what the Gaijin 4 Code like, yes, be less of an annoying bitch. You can do it. Please, I believe in you. Maybe there's just always money at the kick out at 2 tree.
She looks good in defeat.
Yeah, and you might wonder what they're going to do with that later, to which the answer is mostly...
Oh, she does not have a fight again before the time skip. Just laying it out there for you. I have reached the time skip in the manga. She barely even appears again. I almost kind of see why the filler arcs exist in the anime now. Like, at the very least, all the side characters get a little bit more characterization, if poorly written non-canon characterization.
Poorly written, non-canon, occasionally derailing and burying.
Deeply annoying to have to, watch them go through it and the plot never actually advances.
Yeah.
And then apparently it just got so much worse in Shippuden. I was gone by then.
Sometimes you have to evacuate. Sometimes, for the sake of you, whatever children you're protecting, your dreams for the future, you just gotta run.
I needed to do what was best for me at that moment. Yeah.
In this sort of pause between, Neji, we're probably gonna get into the round 2 fights for a second.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out a small moment between sort of rounds 1 and 2 that I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
It's this exchange. I think you actually pointed this out.
Yeah, I was the one because it's great. It's a fantastic piece of
just
character exchange there.
Puppet guys trying to gather their intel, just talking up the Leaf Ninja guys, and there's this conversation where he says to Naruto, "You're a funny guy. I like that." And Mr. Spiky here says, "Well, you're not funny at all, and I don't like that." And that's just legitimately normal funny.
It's just so fucking good, and it was while they were drawing Naruto with his eyes shut a lot. They stopped doing that entirely as of the time skip.
It's unfortunate by my book.
Which, definitely to the character's detriment. I love how they had their main shonen character look just a little bit different like that.
I don't know what it is with some of these, shonen long runners, where there's a sort of pasteurization of the character. You can sort of see it in the stills even.
He becomes so much more square jaw, which I guess is an improvement over, what's his face, Ichigo Kurosaki, who became way more pointy jaw after the time skip.
It reminds me of those comparisons between Japanese and European game boxes and American ones, where it's scowling, curvy, trying to look hardcore.
Oh yeah, where they will draw the angry eyebrows on the Kirby for the box art. Yeah.
And I don't know, because the sort of cartooning type stuff is a strength of his, it's just unfortunate to see that go away from the person you will see the most often in this comic.
What, Sasuke? Sorry, it's too easy.
Well, what's the old Radiohead thing? It's because you do it to yourself.
You do.
Something I found kind of interesting, by the way. This is after the round 2 fights, but whatever. Just talk about small things for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to get your take on this. I was surprised because a lot of the expository stuff is kind of annoying, but I was actually interested in the very, compared to everything else that gets expounded on, incredibly brief description of the political motivations for this war on the Sand Village side.
Yeah, me too.
And this whole, like, village in decline thing, like, they're just sort of materially and economically pushed into doing this.
Yeah. Or so we are led to believe.
Or at least they believe. I mean, the whole thing's like some kind of galaxy brain Orochimaru thing. Flaw of this, actually, and I don't know if it... Okay, tell me this is just me or this is your experience. Did you care less about the Orochimaru shit than everything else happening?
That question has a slightly elongated answer.
It's a slightly elongated podcast. Our last episode was an hour and 30 minutes long. Believe me, I edited it.
And we all appreciate the work that you do. So, here's the thing. That whole justification, that whole political justification for why the Sand Village is doing this, that had to have come down from Orochimaru, impersonating the Kazekage, right?
Right.
So, insofar as him having the political acumen to come up with that, that's interesting. But he never actually does it on screen. This is just a conversation that needed to have happened at one point, where the Kazekage, who is actually Orochimaru, who has killed the Kazekage, comes up with this whole thing and gets everyone on board, right? He manages to sort of, kind of demagogue his way into getting them to stage what ends up being this, like, horribly ill-conceived, utter failure of an attack upon Konoha.
Pure
right?
windmill tilt.
Like, really, really just like, you need...
Fission mailed.
Well, it is January 6th today. He told him to go march on the Capitol. That in itself is interesting. But this is only a conversation that had to have happened, and I'm not even convinced that Kishimoto realized that this conversation had to have happened, because he seems far more interested in Orochimaru just kind of sneering at the third Hokage.
Fair enough. I guess one function of the whole Orochimaru combo is just elevating this idea that reaching that Hokage position is this sort of holy moment or coveted role in the thing.
I suppose, I don't know, the more that Orochimaru appears in this thing, the less interesting he gets for me.
It's a problem, and I guess I was kind of getting at because...
Maybe Kishimoto eventually realized that, and it's why he phased him out as the main antagonist after a while.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Like, was the whole Kaguya hidden Uchiha spoilers, I guess if you're reading along or whatever, thing always the original plan? Hard to say. I have my own thoughts about the whole Madara thing that we'll get to as time rolls on.
Yeah, a lot of people have got thoughts about that one.
I would say that mine are perhaps less incisive and more of a... What is happening here?
Fucking what?
I was definitely more nonplussed than irate, but that's its own other thing. Though, actually, hold on. Before we go to the second round, let's just tie back to the original question. How do you feel about all of this as a tournament, specifically? Like, that narrative construct?
So the thing is that it never gets to finish, right?
It does not get to finish.
So you're left to...
We kind of get the finals, but does not get to finish.
You're kind of left to, I think you're left to conclude that it wasn't important. Maybe. But, like, if it wasn't important, then why did we just spend this amount of time on it? Or am I wrong?
If it makes you feel any less irritated with that aspect of it, we ultimately do get a version of how Puppet Boy and Bug Boy would have gone.
Yeah. Well, they get their makeup match.
They get their makeup match.
Also,
Tamari...
Shino wins, lol.
Shino wins, lol. We do get the Tamari Shikamaru thing with a very amusing finish. I'm going somewhere at this point. Mm-hmm. Follow me here. The things that were basically in question were just the Gaara versus Sasuke, Naruto versus whoever wins that thing. We basically sort of get proxy versions of those conflicts with Sasuke getting surprise trampled, and the people who, like, basically made it up their seeds, like Naruto and Gaara, we actually do...
They do get their fight, right?
They do. get their fight.
And then
And
eventually...
you might say, wait, didn't we sort of get gypped out of, like, whoever Tamari would have fought, which is true. Tamari is a girl in Naruto, so I feel like they might have gotten chumped out, so she might be better off at this point.
So here's the thing about Tamari is that she gets a pop or two in the Sasuke retrieval arc. There
True.
is one of my favorite moments in the Sasuke retrieval arc is hers. So, I think she is one of the only characters to really truly break through the glass ceiling in this thing, because Lord knows, spoiler alert, Tsunade kind of doesn't.
It is really funny that she kind of gets further up that scale than Tsunade did for all the hype. Man, informed ability is a fascinating thing in anime.
Truly.
So we have the whole round 2 thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should go over Jiraiya before that, I guess?
Oh yeah, I guess we need to introduce Jiraiya here, right?
Yeah. Alright, so we get our third mentor of Naruto, which raises certain structural questions and how you put this thing together, but whatever.
Guy likes mentors. Kishimoto likes mentors.
He likes mentors. Okay, it can be done well. And how do you feel about Jiraiya as a character?
Why don't you tell me, and then I'll assemble my thoughts while you're telling me that.
In our personal meme parlance, as far as mentor characters go, I would describe Jiraiya as pretty good.
He's pretty good. He serves his purpose.
He serves his purpose. Like, it's not on the level of like oh god, what was the name of the Fullmetal Alchemist mentor? Izumi. It's not on the level of an Izumi where it's like thematically woven in a elegant way. There's a shoehorned like echoes of duos throughout history of famous ninja thing that I find it really hard to care about that.
So every other ninja trio that isn't like the main three that exists in a flashback has to be some version of the Naruto Sasuke Sakura permutation. And like after the first one, we get it. I get it.
Yeah, so
because later on there's like the Kakashi flashback arc, and
lo and behold. Yeah, I find it maybe harder to care about that aspect of his character. Raw personality, he just makes muster. I'm not super attached to his whole gag pervert gimmick.
He's less of a sex past than I remember. I
think the anime actually added like grabby stuff. I think that might be why.
Could be. It could have also been that like he did grabby shit in the filler.
That's another thing. I think also
like he's not Mineta. I think like Mineta might in fact be the worst one in recent memory for me at the very least.
And the execution of the joke in this comic is generally like Naruto thinks he's paying attention to the hot springs, but the guy's actually sort of looking over his shoulder. Okay, looking good. All right, back to this, which is amusing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm trying to say that Jiraiya is just above functional.
Yeah,
because functional is basically an insult. You're just saying it does a thing, but he has a little color, but I'm just not.
He's never annoying, but he's never exceptionally entertaining.
Yeah. I find the way the frogs are drawn very amusing, and I declare them a welcome addition to my comic experience. I know that's your experience of the dogs. I like the frog thing.
Yeah, but I like the frogs too, but I like the dogs a lot. I like. It doesn't appear yet, so I'm not going to talk about it yet.
Do you think there's some kind of cultural in-joke that the frogs are also Yakuza, or is that just idiosyncratic fun shit?
I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah,
I think it's fun that the frogs are Yakuza. Here's a thing that I enjoy about Jiraiya, is that I really like his dynamic with Naruto, and how Naruto is just so amazingly not enamored with him. How Naruto does not let him have anything really in terms of like, yes, it is I, the great Jiraiya, one of the three Sen, and Naruto is just completely unimpressed the entire time. Is like, man, would you pay attention? I saw you looking down that woman's shirt.
It's weird that that does more for the character than all the times people are ranting about how important things he or the other two said in legendary Kahona, fap, whatever. I swear to God, it's like the comic is schizophrenic sometimes when it gets right and wrong.
Yes. I don't know, it has this, or almost, I guess, has this thing with characters and their deficiencies, I guess, where it almost understands that that's what makes these characters the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, right? you've got Jiraiya, who's apparently this legendary ninja or whatever, and the most entertaining thing about him is the fact that, you know, he cannot impress a 12-year-old.
Yes. Whatever, old man. Alright, so now that we've covered Jiraiya, we can actually talk about the second round matches. Sorry about that, people. I'm just trying to stay semi-organized here. There's a lot of ground to cover. I can't believe there's another 70 chapters of fucking content. Whatever.
Remember, like, the Ebisu bait and switch? I wonder if that was intended as a bait and switch. It had to have been, because he needed to find a way to introduce Jiraiya without having Jiraiya just come out of fucking nowhere and be like, "It's I!"
That seemed intentional rather than like a last minute changing his mind kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't just accidentally invent Jiraiya.
Yeah. That design was poking around notebooks. So we get back in this tournament proper. There's a whole Neji fight that we've talked about.
And it's good. I like it. I think it's a very good fight, in fact.
It's a good fight. And because I enjoyed the fight itself, even... No, not even the mid-fight, but I didn't even like the mid-fight flashback, but what I want to talk about in terms of bugging the crap out of me is the post-fight flashback.
Oh, yes, that.
Because it's something that, I might be wrong, but it kind of becomes a habit in Naruto. But it is a flashback that is so determined to tie things up in a neat little bow in terms of Neji's character progression that it just robs it of a lot of the interest.
Yeah, like, why didn't you just kill Moff after this? His character arc is done now.
Like, if they had said, he died of a broken heart, I'm like, damn, life's like that sometimes. Instead of, without going into granular detail, there's this whole thing where...
There was this whole injustice in his background, right?
There's injustice in his background, and it basically does this hyper retcon where actually
it wasn't an injustice, it was a sacrifice.
It wasn't injustice. Your dad sacrificed his life, and your uncle tried to stop him because he really loved his brother, who he used brain eat no jutsu on at one point.
And so this resolves Neji's entire reason for being the way that he is.
It's crazy to me that is on multiple levels. There are a few kinds of logic, and this one irritates me on each of these scenes. Let's separate narrative logic, emotional logic, and that sort of like cinema sins, whatever kind of logic. In fact, let's skip the cinema sins. Let's focus on narrative and emotional logic.
Sure.
In just the emotional logic of the thing, the cool thing about him was that he almost has a point, right?
Sure.
Like, all this bad shit happened about him, and he just lets it get to him. He took it too far.
Yeah.
Having reality distort itself around him being wrong not only robs him being wrong of interest, but it almost, like, undermines the actual triumph of... The fight is is sort of a man versus society thing where Neji is just the impulses and standards of this society, and Naruto is trying to rosy the riveter, saying, "Nah, man, it doesn't have to be this shit." And then just saying that these problems basically did not exist for this character also is, to me, in just... Before we even get if it makes sense or not that this happened, is just... I'm going to try to avoid the words bad writing, because maybe there is some universe where you just land that thread at Neil, but it does not sit right in the enjoyment of the thing.
Well, it just neuters the power of the character. I think that there was a thing that they could have done. Very, very simple little change that they could have made. Where you could even have that whole flashback that robs all of, the injustice from the character's backstory. And the only thing that you have to change is Neji's reaction to this revelation. His reaction, canonically, was being, "Oh, okay, so my father did die a hero. Man, maybe that Naruto kid was on to something." What you could have done is have him be like, "What the fuck are you telling me this for? He's still fucking dead and I still fucking hate you."
That would have had way stronger legs.
Here's you giving me this shit now, like 10 years later, and here's me still furious in need of 10 years of therapy, and I didn't get any of it. Fuck you, old man.
Which feeds into... I was talking about that other stream of logic, the sort of borderline cinema sins angle. I'm not going to dwell on this one because maybe it's not as fair.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think at some point in the last 10 years of this kid becoming a fucking serial murderer, it might have occurred to you to say, "Hey, by the way, it's not that deep." Do you think that's something he would have done before he had, I don't know, the chance to beat your daughter half to death? I would have said something before then, or maybe even afterwards. Maybe even after you beat my daughter half to death, I would have thought, okay, you don't feel neutral about this. Let's have a talk. Fuck, even if it wasn't true, I might have lied and said it happened that way. But if you're a fan fiction person, I would be very interested to just see what that fan fiction short story is if the guy was just making that shit up about his dad sacrificing himself.
Glad that one worked. I think he bought it.
Alright, so the Shikamaru Tamari thing sort of makes him.
Yeah, that is... If you are not already into his character, then you are into his character when you get to the finish of that fight, which, I guess, to spoil it, because we are going through this entire fucking thing, we're going to spoil it, which is, he sort of has her dead to rights, just outsmarts her, and is like, well, I'm out of chakra, that's it. Because it's not important to him.
It is the lazy Brainiac version of Steve Austin on the ropes, just... like, out of juice. Good fight. And I guess Kishimoto even knew he had a strong moment there enough that he made him the only one that graduated from this whole thing later.
Yes. That was kind of a fun little touch right there. I don't think the two of them ever get their rematch. I think they do get married in the epilogue.
I'm trying to imagine what that dynamic is like. I mean, good for the shipping quota. I wonder how satisfying or unsatisfying this whole experience is from a sort of shipping person's kind of... I don't care that deeply, but I wonder.
Do you want to know, like, my perspective?
Hit me.
He seems to be actively trying to write a Naruto-Sakura relationship that he decides later on, oh shit, I shouldn't have been doing that. Let's not do that instead.
I noticed that. I think his philosophy as far as the shipping stuff goes, as far as I can tell, is he sort of starts out with this on-rails mind. I think he starts with sort of on-rails mindset, and then he just sort of says, alright, whatever, just give the people what they want. And
is that what they wanted?
The Hinata thing seemed to be the fan kind of wank.
Okay.
I'm not saying it says,
whatever the two of them do in the privacy of their own bathroom.
Oh, you think it's in a bathroom?
In this arc, and then even going forward, there's all of the semiotic cues of her being like, "Oh man, that Sasuke man, or that Sasuke guy. I don't know why I was wasting that many feelings on him. Like, here's Naruto, and I'm actually starting to see why he is in fact charming."
That is what
and
you
know,
said.
Naruto for his part, matures, is not like a fucking ankle biter anymore. Like, he is writing a relationship, and then I guess 3/4 of the way through he stops.
That whole paragraph you said here is the foundation of a generation of Flame Wars.
I can see why.
Yeah. It is a thing.
Like, I'm so against the idea of fan fiction and fanon and fandom and anything with like a fucking fan prefix in it, but I guess kind of color me Naruto x Sakura. Because that's what he seems to be trying to do. The two of them seem to be like, he writes chemistry between these characters and it works.
So here's a thought. What if this is a dark herald of the future? Where there was good or bad, but just a relationship with multiple aspects being written on this one part.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people's choice, what the people wanted, the force he bends into, is just the obsessive waifu with one flaw. Is this the sign of things to come in anime?
I thought this was the Sasunaru house.
It's not. It's not the Sasunaru house. They go, like, out of their ways to have Naruto be like, man, you're what I imagine having a brother would be like.
Our sponsor, Vamp Stamps, points out they thought that this was a Sasunaru house. All I can say about that ship is it's fun as far as what I imagine my own dating life.
Sexual energy. They hate each other so much. It's very good chemistry.
The microphone isn't going to pick up any of this. I'm going to be so bad later. They just made the point that they hate each other so much, and that seems to be what draws a certain type of person to that. I don't know.
A certain type of fucking middle schooler, maybe.
All I know is that I've never dated anyone and thought, man, you know what this needs? A professional rivalry. Which is why I should not have gotten married.
Yeah, the people who have these ships are the people who don't know what it's like to be in a relationship or what romantic chemistry actually means.
Shots fired.
Air horns. Alright, I'm skirting around the inevitable, but before I get to inevitable, just a little fight that's just fun. I'm just gonna blip over it. Just the, getting the surprise Bug Boy on Puppet match fulfillment.
That was so fucking great, right?
It was.
What a great fucking fight.
It's just one of my favorite fights in this thing.
Yeah, it's like it's short, it's sweet, it's contained, like it's good. It's like 3 chapters long. That's all it really needs to be. It has some twists and turns, and my fucking
your boy.
My fucking he's like a no, I guess Shikamaru kind of has to be Orange Cassidy, right?
Yeah, but by definition, 100.
Yeah, like he. So I need to find a sort of analogy for Shino here.
A silent badass.
No. Fucking Darby Allin. Just kind of came out of nowhere, is like kind of freaky, and everyone fucking loves him. Goes super fucking over.
And yeah, that fight just. It's fun. It goes well. It basically has a lot of the appeal of this thing, like just the little cool looking things, the weird idea. Like when you strip the whole ninja thing out, it's a guy with a giant murder puppet fighting a guy who uses bugs, and that's, I don't know, the kind of
like it's cool and fun, and like we haven't gotten to the point of combat grass whistling yet.
Yeah.
Which, oh man, do we get there real fast after the time skip? Like, almost immediately.
Are you saying the next puppet fight might not be as amusing?
What? Just wait until he starts introducing members of the Akatsuki.
We actually get there in the 70s. Okay.
No, we don't. It's like right after that.
Oh, okay.
So, wait till episode 3, y'all.
And now it's time for the main event. So we have the Naruto versus Gaara thing here after Sasuke just really takes one to the jimmies.
He looks okay. Like, he looks okay in defeat.
He looks okay. He gets his cool little, I don't know, lightning knife hand, which... Man, that thing gets some exposition for someone who gets his ass kicked. The Herald of Grass Whistling, which is funny because it has the whole bird chirping name.
And this ass kicking is what triggers his heel turn. Because he got his ass kicked, but Naruto didn't, and boo.
It's the weirdest thing. Sasuke's entire spiral into darkness and shadow is based on the 2 or 3 times he gets his ass beat in this thing. And I almost wonder, am I not meeting the genre on its rules here? Like, does getting kicked in the dick once turn you evil? Is that how life works emotionally?
God, I hope not.
Because it's basically the buy-in in terms of where Sasuke's character goes. Like, we're just left to assume that Gaara's sandaled foot collided with his left testicle of such shattering impact that his, like, moral center just contracted.
They already seem to be kind of in a hurry to turn Sasuke heel. Like, all of his little darkness moments in the forest in that part of the Chunin exam arc.
And it's so strange that it feels so rushed when, again, this whole spread of chapters here brings us into like 140 chapters of content.
Yeah, no,
and he's in a lot of it. He has feature fights and stuff.
And he doesn't even turn heel. He doesn't even become a bad guy until after the next arc after this.
So you'd think you could build the interior logic. I just kind of wonder why it feels so maybe artificial.
He knew exactly where he wanted to go with the character, but he could not figure out how to get him there. And like, to his credit, he did things to get him there, but they just were not the right things to get him there. Like they have his, turn to the dark side be based on a mix
Getting
of
kicked in the dick 3 times.
getting kicked in the dick and revenge, and like they just like he tries to square it by have like there's gonna be a flashback later where Itachi will have been he'll have just freshly killed the Uchihas and he'll be like, and you're not strong enough, and so that's like the basis for the for all of this is like revenge, and like where revenge and his wanting to be strong enough intersect. But it all feels like it was meant to justify a writing error.
Compliment to this half, smacking the second half of this whole comic, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I keep making this kicked in the dick and turned evil thing, but that structure at least did peel back a little in this half of the Mr. Perfect thing that just becomes eye-rolling after the skip.
Yes,
when he's no longer allowed to be bad at things.
Yeah, no, correct. Yeah.
It does put some anchors of sanity in this half that, oh man, remember the time I tried to fight Sand Satan? Oh man, that shit didn't go too hot.
I was still coughing up sand. This one time I went to Hawaii, and for a legit 6 months afterwards, I was still finding sand in myself.
Tell us more about it, Mr. Lee.
Like, I would just be scratching, parts of myself every now and again. Just like, or like I'll have just gone to the bathroom and I wipe, right? And like, there it is, sand.
So, this Gaara fight's interesting. Because I have the pocket theory, and maybe I'm forcing this because it's at the latter half of part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think almost everything good and bad in Naruto can be found in this Gaara fight.
Alright, so good. Giant Yakuza frogs. Certainly.
You have giant Yakuza frogs, you have some just fun drawn things of a man running from sand that are not really working out too hot for him.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 just broad emotional beats that work of like, we can get through this, what have you, etc.
Yeah.
And you have some of the bad, like the edgiest boy alive, the flashback that never ends, it goes on and on, my friends.
The swing.
The swing. You have...
The sand swing.
The sand swing. You have Sakura getting chumped out almost as badly as 10-10, but without narrative purpose.
It's bad with her, man. It's bad. Like, where I am at in the manga right now, they're trying to repair her credibility. Like, after the time skip, they're doing their goddamn damnedest.
She gets tied to the sand railroad tracks in this match. And on the good to neutral zone, the whole thing does have little small versions of their little puzzle box structure at times. Not later on when it just sort of becomes frog versus raccoon.
Frog versus raccoon. It's pretty sick, I'll give you that.
But more when he's trying to figure out, okay, my friend's stuck in that thing over there. What the fuck am I going to do about this?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of straight underdog part of the match works. And also, it is a peak and an early rendition of you hate it, some of you love it, I don't understand why, but Talk no Jutsu emerges in its purest form in this one.
Talk no Jutsu.
Actually, not purest form because it doesn't convince them to change their lives mid-fight. Talk no Jutsu is the colloquial form of through the midst of your death combat, Naruto convinces you that your life philosophy is wrong. And it's time to turn it around. It is the Outer Limits combat therapy. Might not have to coach as much here. Because one, Gar's just sort of given the information and is just too battered to agree or disagree at that point, which is amusing. B, it's happening for the first time, really. Neji had to have a whole intervention.
Okay.
It's also, I think, just one of the better rendered ones. It has things feeding into it thematically up to this point, because Gaara is an ideological twin. Which makes it feel like one of the most...
I guess. Or so we're told.
It's his attempt at an ideological twin. it's not as ass nowhere stupid why as the pain thing. Or maybe it is, whatever. That's still, even if I'm wrong there, it still feeds into this whole
I
this
guess
fight.
we'll see.
Sort of being
I'm getting there.
A micro version of this series' strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to go or start with this?
With the fight itself?
Or was that in itself a way of going over it?
Yeah, no, I think we've kind of gone over it. Just in terms of what was good about it, what was bad about it, and sort of
Cool. So since we've gone over to fight, I'm gonna start making fun of Gaara again. I want to talk about just this one quote where we sort of just get at Gaara's character motivations here. And it's in the hospital when he's about to murder someone in the hospital because he's the because he's the edgiest boy alive.
Isn't that an act of war?
And he just say, "This guy."
There are police. We are told later that there is a police force. There's like a black ops. It answers to the Hokage. They wear those animal masks. Where are they?
But there's this quote just now thinking, wow, this guy, he's just like me. I'm thinking, oh, okay, so he's gonna sum up his little philosophy thing. Okay, it's showing and people get talking about it. I'll let it ride. So this is what I came up with. I exist to kill all humans other than myself. Living in constant fear, knowing I might be assassinated at any moment, I finally found inner peace. By killing those who sought to kill me, I was able to discern a reason for living and justify my own existence. As the Hellspawn, I fought the denizens of the devil sent to... You see, I spun off into the McFarlaneisms over there. Gaara fascinates me as this, like, borderline sort of special needs level of edge that I can barely sort of comprehend. Tattooing love on his face and... Was it blood?
I think he scarifies his forehead by using his sand to do that.
Yeah.
You grieve with me for eternity. Release your love, take your place inside the fire with her.
That was Disturbed's Inside the Fire for those of you with childhoods.
We grew up. There were so many enemies.
There is no band that I associate more with Gaara of the Desert than Disturbed.
I kind of wonder if the sheer cartoon degree of edge almost makes it weird that Naruto finds a way to, like, identify or empathize with this man. Because it's a borderline alien trait of logic. Like, the moral characters were just that pain of being all alone. It's not trivial. The way you feel, I don't know why, but I understand it so well. The hurt. And I'm there just saying, he murders children in hospitals of sand. You can't... I know you were both lonely on a swing and almost died. But then he murdered children on a hospital of sand.
There is proof that you could make any idea a good one, which is... So in Mass Effect 2, there's one line. Literally one line. That boils down this entire overwritten philosophy that he has into one single sentence, which is when Jack says, "The way I see it, every time someone in the universe dies and it's not me, my chances of survival have gone up." There. Done. There. That's it.
Bang.
So that's what I'm going to take from his philosophy. That's going to be the charitable reading that I apply to it. It's just him being 12 years old and an edgelord and, like, not having the vocabulary necessary to concisely say that sentence right there.
Or, to put it simply, brevity, which is, when you say something quickly, instead of taking a long time to say something, that could be said more simply and quickly, because, you want to take the short route to saying that thing and make sure you get there in a sort of speedy manner, is the soul or spiritual essence, the sort of cosmic unique signature within something that binds it to this earth. In a sort of, either a directly religious or sort of abstractly spiritual kind of way of wit or intelligence or,
Oh my god, I get it!
I forgot that he scarified the word love on his forehead. Oh man, he made Hot Topic so much money.
Tell me what it is that I'm supposed to do now that I've allowed you to beat me.
Alright. Anyway, this is part 2 of the Uzumakiad, where the band Disturbed happened to be made up of Dinardale and
Dan Draven.
Ted Draven,
Or
whatever.
is it David Draven?
Whatever.
I know.
But this is Dinardale and Sam Legault.
It's been Weeaboo Hell.
And, 1, nothing wrong with me.
2, nothing wrong with me.
3, nothing wrong with me. Oh, man.
You know that song is about mosh pits?
There are 3 literature programs represented on this podcast.
Truly. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace out.
You never saw any sexual chemistry between Sasuke and Naruto in all of your reading and rereading.
Not even a little.
Wow.
It's just not where I'm at, I guess. I'm
Queering Naruto, a radical rereading of Blue and Orange.
Have the representation back then.
I'm sorry?
They're hot yaois.
Yaoi existed. Yaoi existed as a genre, and it had for a while.